For what purpose does the gentleman from Massachusetts rise?
Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker. I move that the House suspend the rules and pass the bill H.R. 2877.
The clerk will report the title of the bill.
H.R. 2877, a bill to designate the facility of the United States Postal Service located at 76 Brookside Avenue and Chester, New York, as the First Lieutenant Lewis Allen Post Office.
Pursuant to the rule, the gentleman from Massachusetts, Mr. Lynch, and the gentleman from Alaska, Mr. Young, will each control 20 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Massachusetts.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent that all members may have 5 legislative days within which to revise and extend their remarks.
Without objection.
Mr. Speaker, I yield myself such time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, as chairman of the House Subcommittee with jurisdiction over the United States Postal, I present H.R. 2877 for consideration. This bill, if adopted, will designate the facility of the United States Postal Service located at 76 Brookside Avenue in Chester, New York, as the First Lieutenant Lewis Allen Post Office. H.R. 2877 was introduced by my friend and colleague, Representative John Hall of New York, on June 15, 2009, and favorably reported out of the Oversight Committee by unanimous consent on July 10, 2009. Notably, this legislation enjoys the strong support of the entire New York sitting House delegation. Since this is principally sponsored by my friend, Mr. Hall of New York, I'm going to yield such time, 5 minutes, to my colleague so that he may make those remarks.
The gentleman from New York is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise today to pay tribute to a great American, First Lieutenant Lew Allen. My bill, H.R. 2877, would designate the post office in Chester, New York, as the First Lieutenant Lewis Allen Post Office. First Lieutenant Allen was killed in Iraq over 4 years ago by a mine explosion for which another member of the armed forces was charged and shockingly acquitted. Lieutenant Allen was 34 years old, a pillar of his community, a model National Guardsman. Lew joined the New York National Guard in the year 2000, but when he was not serving in uniform, he served his community as a science teacher at George F. Baker High School in Tuxedo. He was deployed to New York City with the National Guard to respond to the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001. Lew's service to his community and country made him a great American whom we are all proud of. Lew is survived by his loving wife, Barbara, and their 4 young sons, Trevor, Colin, Sean, and Jeremy, his parents, Bob and Vivian, his siblings, and other friends and family who are all so proud of him. Renaming this post office in his honor will be a tangible reminder of the joy he brought to them and the contributions he made to our nation, the Hudson Valley community, and the lives of those who knew him. I cannot imagine how difficult the last few years have been for Lew's family, and their grace in dealing with this tragedy is an inspiration to us all. I've had the honor of meeting them at Bob and Vivian's house when I introduced this bill. I'm honored to represent them in Congress and to be able to come here to Washington and help redesignate the U.S. Post Office at 76 Brookside Avenue in Chester, New York as the First Lieutenant Lewis Allen Post Office. Renaming this post office is not about mourning Lew's death, but about celebrating his life. I'm glad that we have the support of the entire New York State congressional delegation, who are all signed on to the bill as original co-sponsors. I urge my colleagues to honor Lieutenant Allen and support this bill so that he and his family will finally receive the tribute to his sacrifice that they deserve. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back my time.
Gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Kentucky is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield myself as much time as I may consume. Mr. Speaker, I
Gentleman's
rise
recognized.
today to urge the passage of House Resolution 2877, a bill designed to designate the facility of the United States Postal Service located at 76 Brookside Avenue in Chester, New York, as First Lieutenant Louis Allen Post Office in honor of the late Louis Allen, a 34-year-old Army National Guardsman killed by an explosion in Tikrit, Iraq on June 8, 2005. A native of Goshen, New York, and a West Point graduate, First Lieutenant Allen was not only a model soldier, but also a model citizen who had a true passion for helping others. A loving husband and a father of 4 sons, he drove more than an hour each way to George Baker School in Tuxedo, New York, a school where he taught science. The school superintendent remembers him as loving kids and having a real passion for our students. He was also known by his family as being fun-loving, gracious, and caring as he took care of everyone around him. A longtime friend of Allen's once said that if my son grows up to be half the man Lou is, I'll be the happiest father in the world. First Lieutenant Allen is a shining example of an individual who continually and selflessly served those around him, both through his work for his community and his country. His spirit lives on through the work of his family and friends. As they continue to promote the sacrifice of First Lieutenant Allen Scholarship and Community Foundation. It is with gratitude for his bravery and sacrifice for his country, I ask all members to join me in supporting H.R. 2877 in First Lieutenant Allen's honor. Mr. Speaker, I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves. Gentleman from Massachusetts.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A resident of Milford, Pennsylvania, First Lieutenant Allen bravely served as support Operation Iraqi Freedom as a member of the Army National Guard's headquarters and headquarters company 42nd Infantry out of Troy, New York. Regrettably, has been noted here by my friend Mr. Hall, First Lieutenant Allen and a fellow unit member, Captain Philip T. Esposito, were killed in Tikrit, Iraq on June 8, 2005 of injuries sustained when a mine explosion occurred near their location. First Lieutenant Allen was 34 years old at the time of his death. As noted by his fellow Rainbow Division soldiers who held a ceremony in honor of their 2 fallen comrades at Forward Operating Base Danger in Tikrit on June 15, 2005, First Lieutenant Allen was highly regarded as a skilled platoon leader who always took care of his troops. Quote, he was always running around getting stuff for his guys, food, safety, equipment, and billeting, and never forgot where he came from, recalled Colonel Mario Castagliola, the division's Assistant Chief of Staff for Operations. In addition to his distinguished service to his unit and his country, First Lieutenant Allen is equally remembered as a dedicated husband to his beloved wife, Barbara, whom he made sure to call every day throughout his deployment, and as a loving father to their 4 boys, Trevor, Colin, Sean, and Jeremy, whose pictures he always carried in his wallet and would display to anyone who would bother to take a look. According to Captain Stephen Razor, a division legal assistant officer who trained with Lieutenant Allen. Moreover, as a high school science teacher at George Baker High School in Tuxedo, New York, First Lieutenant Allen evidenced the same commitment, dedication, and generosity to his students as he did to his fellow soldiers and his family. Quote, he loved kids, he had a real passion for our students, recalled Valley Central School District Superintendent Joseph P. Zanetti. And as noted by all of those who were fortunate enough to know him, First Lieutenant Allen had a unique gift for making everyone around him feel more positive and happier. A family statement issued following his death perhaps best characterized it. Lieutenant Allen's effect on his loved ones, everyone loved Lou for his Lou-ness, quote. Mr. Speaker, the life and legacy of First Lieutenant Louis Allen stands as a testament to all the brave servicemen and women who have also dedicated their lives to serving our nation in the United States military. It is my hope that we can honor this young soldier through the passage of H.R. 2877 and by designating the Chester Post Office in his honor. With that, I reserve the balance of our time.
The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Kentucky is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I have no other speakers at this moment, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman reserves. Gentleman from Massachusetts.
Mr. Speaker, I have no further speakers, but we continue to reserve.
The gentleman reserves.
Mr. Speaker, I have no other speakers, so I yield back my time.
The gentleman from Kentucky yields back. The gentleman from Massachusetts is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In closing, I again urge my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to join with Mr. Hall, the principal sponsor of this resolution, in honoring First Lieutenant Louis Allen through the passage of H.R. 2877, and I yield back the balance of our time.
The gentleman yields back. The question is, will the House suspend the rules and pass H.R. 2877? Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, 2/3 being in the affirmative, the rules are suspended and the bill is passed. And without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid upon the table.